Společně s Aňou Geislerovou, představitelé hlavních rolí ve filmu, který se bude natáčet u nás v České republice. Jamie Dornan, Aňa Geislerová, pěkné odpoledne v Karlových Varech. Já jsem hledal, kde máme toho sympatiáka, který bude za několik málo dní v České republice natáčet film Anthropoid. Velmi skromný.
Question for Jamie, please. What was it in particular about the script that caught your imagination, and how do you view what your character did in 1942?
I think when I first read the script, the fact that I didn't know about the story, I found, as I said before, I found that kind of mad that something could happen that had such a massive knock-on effect to, you know, an entire nation, and to not have known about that, I found kind of mad. The heroism involved, the sacrifice involved, you know, similar to what Sean was saying, that they felt, and Jan, particularly to me, because that's what I was reading for. Yeah, it felt like someone you could actually relate to, like guys who were fighting for something that they truly believed in, but were guys. They were normal guys. They had family, you know, that were being massively affected by what was happening. You always need a drive in everything you do, and a reason to tell the story. I think as an actor, you've got to have something that, you know, drives you every day on set. And I mean, could there be any stronger drive needed than, you know, the opportunity to assassinate someone so horrific, you know? I mean, and nobody, you know, can, you know, there's nobody in the world who can't see Heydrich as evil, you know. At the time, there were lots of people who didn't see it as evil, but, you know, now, so to have that, to bring that to work every day, I'm so excited about the idea of like having that as being your drive. I'm terrified of how I'm going to behave actually now on set, knowing that. What was the second part? Oh, okay. Okay.
Tereza Spáčová, Reflex.
Dobrý den, Spáčová, Reflex. Já bych se ráda zeptala, vy jste známí svou pečlivou přípravou na role, například u Phila Spectra byla poměrně známá historka, jak jste běhal po metru v Londýně, tak by mě zajímalo, co si chystáte pro tuto roli. A když už jsem zmínila seriál The Fall, který je tady v České republice velmi oblíbený, tak jestli můžete říct něco k tomu, co znamená pro vás osobně. Děkuju.
Look, people have different ways and means of actors and getting into the mindset of whoever they're going to play. Sometimes you do things that feel right to embody a character, and sometimes you push limits, and you know, and everyone has their own approach to it. And it can always be different. You know, the way I prepared to play someone like Spectre in The Fall, you take yourself to dark places, and you find out a lot about yourself that maybe you don't always want to find out, and it's quite an interesting process. But for this particular project, I don't think I have to go to those similar kind of places. I think there's things about Jan that will make sense to me more personally than having to really dig too far. He is a man with a mission to carry out, and it's a mission for the right reasons. It's not someone like Spectre who's murdering people for, you know, there's no good reason to murder someone, you know. I mean, there's not. But if you are... No, I was going to say, yeah, this is murder in a sense, but it's for a greater good, essentially, and he very much feels like that. Jan and Josef both feel like that. And... so that you're driven, yeah, you're driven for different reasons, and I feel that Jan's the closest character I've played to myself. So that means that there's parts of the research that you've done for other characters that don't need to be done, that don't make sense, just as long as you have very strong idea of why they were doing what they were doing, and who they are in the situation at the time, I think is enough.
Colleen O'Connor, Radio Free Europe.
Hi, I just, when we were talking about the fall there, you know, the third series is probably one of the most eagerly anticipated series coming up in Britain in the moment. Can you tell us anything about it, and can we expect more interaction between you and Gibson without giving too much away? And just one other thing is, like, did it make any difference to you kind of acting in your own milieu, so to speak, in that, like, you got a rare opportunity to use your own accent?
To be honest, I think I'd rather talk about Anthropoid, because that's what I'm here for. Yeah, the third series is happening, and I'm excited, and I hope everyone is, but I think today it's about Anthropoid.
Věra Mišková, druhá otázka.
Dobrý den.
Of course, I'm from Belfast in Northern Ireland, which is part of the world that is for far too long, and not so much these days, thank God, sorry, who did I think? You know, we've dealt with conflict on a huge level, and dealt with injustice, and dealt with divide, and I think that does colour you as an individual if you're from a part of the world like that, and I think you maybe have a slightly more of an understanding with other parts of the world who've experienced the same, maybe. No association with this film changes my view on the Holocaust. I mean, what can you say? It's, you know, beyond my. It's unfathomable how horrific that is, and what happened was. I guess to be able to depict what happened and have play a character who had some kind of a say over it is kind of ultimately pleasing. What I said earlier about the motivation, like, you know, what more do you need motivation wise, and to get the chance to, at least in, you know, at work, get to assassinate the person who was, you know, given, you know, mastermind of the final solution. I mean, I get angry about it sitting here now. I could break those bottles if I wanted to, maybe. I won't.
And for me, it was the story of the two parachutists. It felt like that was the journey that I wanted to discover as an audience member. I wanted to know what it was like to be Kubish and Gabčík. I wanted to know what it was like to, you know, stand in front of that Mercedes and be confronted with, you know, the ultimate act of resistance. And I think, you know, the more I thought about it, the more I became obsessed with the experience of these two men and what they went through. So for me, that it felt right. It felt like the next film that I wanted to make. I also wanted to make it very sort of contained and a very emotional piece. I didn't really see it as sort of a big, grand kind of war epic, because I think the actions of the people involved are epic.
Josef Gabčík's partner, Liběna Pavková. Please, the microphone is where? Thank you.
I'd like to ask Jamie if you have had a chance to go to any of the locations in Prague where these real events happened, and if so, if they've made any impression on you.
I can't wait. I haven't been. I've just finished another movie last week, and I arrived here today. I have to fly back to London today, but I'll be back next week. And yeah, I know. I mean, I can't wait to see all the places, because I think it really helps to give you an idea, and you know, get to the crypt and see the bullet holes and see, you know, I mean, you know, that's a big help. So no, I'm looking forward to that, but I haven't had a chance to yet. No.
Will Desert Variety?
Hi, question for Jamie. When you're looking at playing a character who's one of the greatest Czech national heroes, what kind of things are you looking for as an actor to sort of bring that character back to earth and make him approachable to audiences, and bring him, you know, tangible flaws? These things that you looked for in the script from Sean, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it there. I mean, that trying to make him that's somebody that people can relate to, and what we were talking about earlier about, these were just normal guys who were fighting for something that they fiercely believed in. A lot of that work, thankfully, is done for me on the page because Sean and Anthony have written a fantastic script, and all the human flaws and all the things that make him, a tangible person and someone that the everyman can relate to are on the page, which is kind of great, and they're heroes in a sense of what they did, and but they very much on the page you see that they are flawed, and they have very human aspects to them that would hinder trying to carry out an exercise like this, and we follow those, we follow these guys really closely, and we get to see, it's warts and all, and we get to see how difficult a mission this is for them.
Surrounding Anthropoid. And for me, it was the story of the two parachutists. It felt like that was the journey that I wanted to discover as an audience member. I wanted to know what it was like to be Kubish and Gabčík. I wanted to know what it was like to stand in front of that Mercedes and be confronted with the ultimate act of resistance. And I think the more I thought about it, the more I became obsessed with the experience of these two men and what they went through. So for me, that it felt right. It felt like the next film that I wanted to make. I also wanted to make it very sort of contained and a very emotional piece. I didn't really see it as sort of a big, grand kind of war epic, because I think the actions of the people involved are epic.
Gabčík's partner, Liběna Farková.
We've dealt with conflict on a huge level, and dealt with injustice, and dealt with divide, and I think that does colour you as an individual if you're from a part of the world like that, and I think you maybe have a slightly more of an understanding with other parts of the world who've experienced the same. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not really my place to say, people are going to look at it from both sides. Ultimately, I think it was sent a very strong message to show that the Czech people were up for a fight and weren't willing to be treated in that way. And for me, I see that as a very, very heroic act. And I think if I was in that position myself, I probably would have done the same thing. I have a strong understanding of why people see it the other way based on events afterwards, but for me personally, I think ultimately they had to do what they had to do and the way they had to do it, and probably more good came out of it than bad.
I'd like to ask Mr. Dornan why he thinks people are still so fascinated by the stories from the Second World War. Thank you.
Pretty big event.
As world events go.
Events that shape the world, people are never going to be tired of them. They never grow old. It's never inappropriate to retell stories that have had such a massive impact on life beyond the event. So, they'll continue to be made, and stories that have meant such a massive change post them happening are always going to be relevant. So there'll always be an appetite for it, I think.
I always remember my nan who used to cheer up when you mentioned the war.
Oh, God.
My nan would you'd start talking about the war and she'd cheer up. Oh yes, the war, and it would all, obviously it was a big part in her life, and you just think, little do we know.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
Great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.